Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Anti-Japanese War. Our Sichuan Army Major Marshal, horizontal promotion of major powers accidentally traveling through 1935, he became the warlord Yuanxun of Sichuan province and his eldest son Liu Shimo, who had studied abroad in the West for many years. At this time, the Japanese were encroaching on North China, and the country was in danger. Liu Shimo, with a system in mind, resolutely returned to China to assist in the development of the Sichuan Army and build the strongest Sichuan Army. In 1937, the Little Devils launched a full-scale invasion war. 300,000 Sichuan troops set out for the Sichuan War of Resistance. At this time, the Little Devils thought that China was still lagging behind and clamored for 3 months to destroy China. However, as the Sichuan army entered the Battle of Songhu, the situation immediately turned upside down. Continuous firing rifles, armored vehicles, tanks, 130 rocket launchers, radar matrices, electronically controlled anti-aircraft guns, electromagnetic gyroscopic guided missiles. Faced with the overwhelming force, the Little Devils were directly stunned. It was a fierce invasion, but it turned out to be a battle to defend the homeland. For a moment, the great powers looked sideways and the committee was shocked. But for Liu Shimo, this is just the beginning. The world needs a new pattern. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 0001. Return to China, Commander Liu's eldest son. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Blue Star, Parallel World. At the end of 1935, in Shanxing, Sichuan Province. This year, after 20 years of warfare, the warlord Liu Yuanxun of Sichuan Province finally defeated his last opponent, his younger cousin Liu Zhiqian. In name, the military and political integration of Sichuan Province has been completed. At this moment, Liu Yuanxun was ambitious and prepared to engage in a fierce battle. The plan is very clear. First, we will reduce the large number of old armies by half, and then use the saved military expenses to boost the economy of Sichuan Province. After 20 years of war, Sichuan Province was already in dire straits. Some places are so absurd that taxes are even received early in the 21st century. Restoring people's livelihoods is the top priority at present. Li Ziba, Liu Gongguan. As Liu Yuanxun's residence and office in the mountain city, Liu Mansion has always been heavily guarded. A checkpoint has been set up 200 meters away from the gate, and anyone who wants to pass through will definitely have to undergo questioning and inspection. That evening, a sliding sedan chair swayed from a distance. The captain on duty at the sentry post looked at the 2 ragged sedan bearers and muttered a curse, thinking it was some inconspicuous outsider who wandered here. You should know that those who can get to this place on weekdays are very famous people in Sichuan Province, and they often come and go by small foreign cars. The worst is also a yellow charter car. The sentry on duty, who was about to change positions, was too lazy to ask. He called for a sentry and ordered, "Go, drive them away. Can anyone come to this place?" Yes. The sentry took the initiative to launch an attack and rushed back, unable to hear what was being said from a distance. However, they quickly ran back in panic. As for the sliding sedan chair, it still approached the checkpoint. Seeing this, the sentry on duty was about to curse a few words at the sentry, but the other party spoke up first. "Sir, the eldest son is back." "What kind of young master?" "Commander Liu's eldest son." After a brief moment of shock, the sentinel rushed forward like a gust of wind. Liu Shimo, the eldest son of Liu Yuanxun, left home at a young age and went to study abroad in Maligian. The sentinel only knew about this, which was already 8 years ago. At that time, he had not yet joined the army. Quickly ran up to him and asked for his name. The young man of the sword eyebrow star order was indeed named Liu Shimo. He didn't dare to delay. He hurriedly asked the sentinels to open the passage and rushed to the mansion like a gust of wind to report. The sliding sedan chair quickly arrived at the door of Liu Gongguan. Liu Shimo deliberately paid an extra 2 yuan for the fare when he got off the sedan chair. After the two sedan bearers left with a grateful expression on their faces, he looked up at the frugal Liu mansion in front of him. He is a traveler. As for Liu Shimo's name, the system arranged his identity and also provided a relatively detailed background information. Then, he hurriedly embarked on the journey back to his home country. Next, we will see the Liu family. Whether the system works or not, he actually has no idea at this moment. But there's no way. The first task given by the system called Anti-Japanese War Meritorious Service is to develop military industry. It is now the end of 3 to 5 years, and according to his understanding of the world, although there is a great discrepancy from the history textbook, the neighboring Little Devil's intention to annex China has not changed. 3 years ago, they occupied the outer frontier, and 2 months ago, they instigated unrest in North China, ultimately creating 5 provinces of autonomy. The wolf's ambition is evident. If this timeline remains unchanged, then the events of 3 to 7 years are destined to happen again. Time waits for no one. Such an urgent situation does not allow him to seek stability and develop from scratch. By leveraging the heritage of cheap dad Liu Yuanxun, skipping the initial stage directly became the optimal option. Just as I was lost in thought, I heard a rapid sound of footsteps coming from inside the door. Later, a woman with a wealthy figure but simple clothes appeared at the entrance, panting heavily. The two of them looked at each other for a moment, and the woman's tears flowed down like a spring. She walked down the stairs in 3 steps and 2 steps, hugging Liu Shimo. Damn it, you've been wanting to die for so many years. Mother, Zhou Yushu. Thinking about the information provided by the system, Liu Shimo also quietly breathed a sigh of relief. This is the first level, but also the most difficult one. This level has been passed, the rest is fine. Mother, haven't I come back to see you? Liu Shimo chuckled, but he truly felt the strong maternal love. Just come back, just come back. Zhou Yushu lifted her head, unable to wipe away her tears, and looked up at her eldest son whom she had not seen in many years, feeling increasingly happy as she looked at him. Then the conversation changed and he began to scold Liu Yuanxun, who killed 1,000 swords, should have taught him a good lesson when he sent you abroad back then. Otherwise, we can't harm our mother and son. We haven't been able to meet for so many years. Liu Shimo. System information. Zhou Yushu has a strong personality. This is not just about perseverance, it should be about being tough. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0002. Inheriting family business. No, aiming for military industry. You are listening at novel full.audio. Liu Yuanxun, who was inspecting outside, rushed back in a hurry. When we arrived at the Liu mansion, it was already past 10 o'clock at night. The eldest son who had been away for many years suddenly returned, and he was also extremely excited. So before the car could come to a steady stop, it pushed open the car door and jumped down. I hurried all the way to the outside of the main building, but slowed down my pace and adjusted my clothes before walking in with a serious expression on my face. Father. Watching Liu Yuanxun walk in, Liu Shimo, who was speaking with Zhou Yushu, quickly stood up. My younger brothers Liu Shiais and Liu Shihui also quickly got up. Liu Yuanxun glanced at his eldest son, who had undergone a great transformation. Although he was excited in his heart, he scolded him as soon as he spoke, "You don't say hello in advance when you come back, what does it look like?" As soon as these words were spoken, Zhou Yushu, who was originally smiling, frowned and didn't give Commander Liu any face. She said, "My son is already an adult, so I have to ask you for advice on everything. This is home, not your army. Commander Liu suddenly had black lines all over his head. Okay, the dignity is completely diminished. However, under Mrs. Zhou's constant accumulation of power, Commander Liu dared not argue and could only reluctantly make up for it, saying, just let me know in advance so that we can also send someone to pick him up in advance, right? The world is chaotic now, and you are not unaware. Only then did Zhou Fu feel satisfied and beckoned the servant to pour him tea. Are you not planning to leave again after returning this time? Sitting down, Liu Yuanxun asked while drinking tea. Yes, prepare to come back and do some things. Okay, we always need to apply what we have learned. Now that Sichuan province has made the initial decision, we also need you to come back and play for us. Liu Yuanxun nodded. When I sent Liu Shimo away, firstly I wanted him to learn some skills abroad, and secondly, the whole Sichuan province was in chaos at that time. You hit me and I hit you, it was unpredictable. Sending away his eldest son, even if he is ultimately defeated, his lineage will not be extinct. But now the situation is different. There is no opponent for him in the entire Sichuan province, and it is a good time for an to cultivate his son with great care. You can do things, but you can't join the army. When it came to her son's next arrangements, Zhou Yushu immediately expressed her opinion. As he spoke, he gave Liu Yuanxun a dissatisfied glare. For all these years you've been fighting outside, and I've been worried about you every day. I can't let my son suffer another round of trouble. It's better to go into politics. Aren't you still serving as the director of the provincial government office? I don't think you should do it anymore, let Shimo be the director. I happen to stay in the mountain city and can go home to eat every day. Liu Yuanxun. A provincial official, even Chiang Kai-shek dare not promote his son like this. As Liu Yuanxun was worried about how to reason with his wife, he heard Liu Shimo say, Auntie, my son doesn't know how to handle government affairs. If you put me in such a high position all at once, then you wouldn't be able to be manipulated by the people in the government office as a string puppet. I have my own thoughts on this matter, and I promise to go home and eat every day. He chatted with Zhou Yushu for several hours and now he has a complete understanding of his mother. A very traditional person, apart from having a strong personality, is full of concern for their family members. I don't even have a basic understanding of military and government affairs. So the key point of those words just now is actually only in the last sentence, which is to hope that Liu Shimo can go home to eat every day and accompany her. Sure enough, upon hearing her son say so, Zhou Yushu immediately smiled and said, okay, when my son grows up, he has his own opinions. My mother will listen to you. Commander Liu was stunned and said, Suddenly, I felt like I had no family status left. However, it was a great consolation for him to have such insight. Nodding satisfied, he smiled and said, okay, then tell me your thoughts. Father, besides my regular studies abroad, I also have some research on military industry. I hurried back to my home country this time in order to build a new arms factory in our Sichuan province. The most profound impression left by Sichuan province to future generations in another time and space is the bloody bravery of the Sichuan army during the anti-Japanese war. Lack of food and clothing to avoid the cold. Stepping on grass shoes and holding an old sleeve that even the rifling needs to be smoothed out, facing the enemy in battle but vowing not to retreat. The heavy casualties are unparalleled. The technological system of Liu Shimo's achievements in the anti-Japanese war did not clearly indicate where to make his efforts. But Liu Shimo's identity template made Sichuan province his best choice. He doesn't have much to ask for, he just hopes to do his best to make the soldiers of Chuan no longer as tragic as in another time and space. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0003. Manufacturing 5/6 half, Sichuan province's military industry. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Liu Yuanxun also has an arsenal. It's just that the scale is not large. The most important one is the Shanqing Weapon Repair Shop. Starting from the year 2018, the factory was initially only engaged in weapon repair business. However, in these years, Liu Yuanxun has been fighting in both the south and north. I have snatched a lot of weapons manufacturing equipment from other forces, and bought it with real money. In addition, I have hired experts and technicians with high salaries, so I can already produce weapons on my own. Now the entire factory has a size of 1,000 people, and not only can it imitate those made in Hanyang, but it can also produce mortars and submachine guns and light machine guns. However, the production is average. A while ago, he specifically learned about it. At present, on average, more than 400 rifles can be manufactured in a month. More than 30 light machine guns and submachine guns. As for mortars, there are only over 10 models combined. The pistol is more precise, according to Chief Engineer Zhou Jun. With the current level of craftsmanship and equipment, it is too difficult. Besides, the quality is not very good either. Not to mention the quality of firearms imported from foreign countries, even the ones made in Hanyang can easily crush those made in Sichuan. But even the smallest mosquito is still meat. The Shanqing Weapon Repair Institute is also unique among various forces in Sichuan province. The reason why Liu Yuanxun was able to defeat various warlords in Sichuan province step by step was also due to the contribution of the Shanqing Weapon Repair Institute. Next, he is preparing to reorganize the army. Eliminating the old and weak is one aspect, and upgrading weapons and equipment is also of utmost importance. After all, although he has one Sichuan province, outside of Sichuan province, Chiang Kai-shek has long been eyeing him. So the number of troops can be reduced, but the combat effectiveness cannot be weakened by a single point. And vigorously developing its own military industry is the focus of the next stage of development. Therefore, listening to Liu Shimo, he suddenly became interested in military industry. Unable to even hold up his father's authority, he straightened up and said urgently, "Tell me your thoughts." "Father, during my leisure time abroad, I designed my own rifle. In theory, it is completely feasible, but whether it can be made or not depends on the equipment and technician situation." Listening to Liu Shimo say that he had designed a rifle, Liu Yuanxun couldn't help but stare straight and exclaim, "Did you design it yourself?" "Yes, I borrowed some principles from Mauser rifles, but added a pneumatic device inside the gun mechanism to achieve the goal of automatic loading of bullets. This is a newbie reward given by the system, the manufacturing technology of the Type 56 semi-automatic rifle. The dimensions and technical parameters of the components are comprehensive. What Liu Shimo needs to do is integrate various resources to produce. As long as the finished product meets the system requirements, it can receive system rewards. Liu Yuanxun has been in the military for many years. Although as a commander, his most important task is to command operations, he also has some knowledge of weapons. At this moment, upon hearing Liu Shimo talk about automatic loading, he was first shocked and then burst into laughter. "Guawazi, are you talking about a machine gun? Automatic loading, that can only be a machine gun." Liu Shimo smiled bitterly at this and had no choice but to give Commander Liu a detailed explanation. The principle is indeed the same, both are pneumatic loading. However, semi-automatic rifles follow a middle ground. Emphasis is placed on both shooting efficiency and logistical supply capabilities. You should know that the Sichuan Army has hundreds of thousands of soldiers, not only a Czech-style full-power ammunition, but also a submachine gun with a hitter's bullet, which can completely drag down logistics. Even Maligian in this era does not have such strength in this regard. With the current financial situation in Sichuan province, even if the troops are only equipped with semi-automatic rifles, even if so many guns can be produced, logistics cannot support it. This is also another important reason why Liu Shimo is feeling extremely anxious now. If the time of war is the same as another time and space, then there is only 1.5 years left for him. It's not just about relying on system assistance to manufacture firearms. And tracing upwards from firearms to strengthen the entire arms industry chain. This is a systems engineering and must also be rooted in the industrial foundation. The current resources in reliable Sichuan province cannot be met at all. I can't help but think of ways to mobilize resources from outside the province. Seeing the lively conversation between father and son, Zhou Yushu felt quite satisfied. She doesn't understand this kind of thing. So he stood up lightly and took the servant to the kitchen to prepare for a late-night snack. As for what I am pondering in my heart, is it necessary to hold a grand banquet for the guests in a few days and give a good reception banquet to the eldest child that night? Liu Yuanxun talked to Liu Shimo until 2 a.m. and couldn't bear it before going to rest. I just couldn't sleep soundly either. Lying in bed dazed, his mind was filled with the semi-automatic rifle that Liu Shimo had mentioned. If his troops had been equipped with such equipment 20 years earlier, he would have ended the conflict in Sichuan province 10 years ago, eliminating the need for ammunition to be pulled, grabbed, and tied, with a single-shot linkage and a range no worse than the mainstream weapon of Hanyang in China today. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0004. Military Industry Experts, Trial Production of 5/6 You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The next day, Liu Yuanxun woke up early as usual. After having breakfast carefully prepared by Zhou Yushu, the father and son hurriedly left and headed straight to the Mountain City weapon repair shop outside the Linjiang Gate. A large courtyard with over 10 rows of low-rise bungalows. It doesn't look like a military factory, but rather more like a workshop. This immediately made Liu Shimo, who had some expectations, feel a chill in his heart. The foundation is really poor. Without a foundation, the system simply piles up all the weapon manufacturing drawings in front of him without any use. So, the most important thing in the next stage is to do everything possible to increase the scale of the repair shop. Otherwise, everything would be impossible. To talk about the group arrived suddenly, but no one welcomed them. However, Liu Yuanxun didn't care about these either and enthusiastically took Liu Shimo to visit first. You should know that in Liu Shimo's eyes, the small workshop is a golden knot. The group advanced into a workshop, and what caught their eye were several new machines and equipment. Liu Yuanxun proudly introduced, "This was confiscated from your uncle a while ago. He just bought it and is planning to build his own arsenal. But before the factory could be built, it was cheaper for me." Liu Shimo praised it for a few words, but he remembered it in his heart. After visiting the repair shop, be sure to inquire about the purchasing channels for these equipment. As for the funds, my son is determined to start his own business, and as a father, I have to express myself, right? After visiting this new workshop, Liu Yuanxun was about to take Liu Shimo to the next one when the chief engineer of the repair shop, Zhou Jun, rushed over upon hearing the news. "Commander, why didn't you inform me in advance?" Zhou Jun is Liu Yuanxun's old classmate. Back then, the two of them studied together in the Sichuan Army crash course, but after graduation, Liu Yuanxun entered the army step by step and became a platoon leader. However, Zhou Jun chose to further his studies abroad, and later by chance, he entered the military industry. Over the years, Zhou Jun has made great contributions to the development of weapon repair shops, from being a true repair shop to now making guns and artillery. Liu Yuanxun also highly values this old classmate. After greeting the two, he quickly introduced Liu Shimo. "Old Zhou, you probably don't know, do you? My son also knows military industry," he said with pride. "Really? Hee, young people nowadays are amazing." Zhou Jun chuckled, but he didn't take it too seriously in his heart. There are many people who understand military industry. Not to mention the high-paying technicians hired by the repair shop, which of these over 1,000 workers from top to bottom is not a military worker? As for Liu Shimo, as the eldest son of Liu Yuanxun, even if he knew military industry, it was impossible for him to come to the repair shop. An old classmate with such a large family business, even if he voluntarily gives up his position as chief engineer to Liu Shimo, Liu Yuanxun cannot agree. Liu Yuanxun, who was just like a human spirit, could tell at a glance that Zhou Jun was perfunctory. But he wasn't angry either. There are real talents in one's own big child. With that semi-automatic rifle, as long as he takes it out, Zhou Jun's eyeballs will fall to the ground. Thinking about it, he grabbed Zhou Jun and walked excitedly towards his office. As he walked, he said, "Hee, today I'll let you, the chief engineer, broaden your horizons." Looking at this scene, Liu Shimo could only smile bitterly. Last night, it wasn't mentioned that the first scene of today was to showcase him first in Zhou Jun's office. Under the smiling gaze of Liu Yuanxun, Liu Shimo took out 5, 6.5 technical drawings. Looking at the thick stack of materials, Zhou Jun, who was originally smiling, couldn't help but take it seriously. In recent years, it is true that the repair shop has been digging people around to expand its scale, but there are also many people who volunteer for high salaries. This is the first time Zhou Jun has encountered it. He came directly to the door with so many drawings. Let's not mention the specific value of these drawings for now, nor do we need to worry about Liu Shimo's identity as the Grand Prince of Sichuan Province. With this attitude alone, it is worth his careful attention. "Uncle Zhou, this is a rifle I designed myself." Liu Shimo unfolded the blueprint while narrating. The loading mechanism is the first bolt action, followed by the 9 rounds, which rely on internal pneumatic devices to achieve automatic loading. However, based on considerations of logistic supply capacity, this automatic loading is different from machine guns. As Liu Shimo recounted, as predicted by Liu Yuanxun, Zhou Jun's eyes widened and he looked shocked. Until the end, I couldn't hide my excitement and picked up the blueprint, carefully studying it. He is an old military engineer, and he can get more information from the drawings than Liu Shimo's description. And based on rich experience, it was immediately determined that the design of this rifle is theoretically entirely feasible. "Good gun." He couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. With a heavy pat on Liu Shimo's shoulder, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Dear nephew, how did you come up with the idea of designing this semi-automatic rifle? Is this thing useful by thinking?" "That's talent." Liu Yuanxun, who was full of pride, answered the question for his son and laughed heartily. "Hurry up and say, can we make this gun from our repair shop?" "Of course it can." What Zhou Jun said is very certain. Repair shops can make both rifles and machine guns. And the 5, 6.5 parts that Liu Shimo took out were nothing more than the internal parts of the bolt of the rifle, which were equipped with pneumatic devices for the machine gun. This is also the most shocking thing for him. All the components are not unusual, but with such a brilliant idea, this rifle is suddenly different. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0005. Test gun, completion rate 200%. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liu Yuanxuan's enthusiasm for making guns is not much inferior to that of Liu Shimo. No other, from a combat perspective, this more efficient rifle enhances the firepower of the troops, and he has his own account in mind. And now he is facing the task of disbanding his army while maintaining his combat effectiveness. The problem that originally caused him to scratch his head, because of the emergence of this semi-automatic rifle, he immediately saw hope for a solution. Now that the drawings are available and the equipment in the repair shop is not a problem, we will take immediate action and request that Zhou Jun work overtime to produce the sample gun as quickly as possible. As a designer, Liu Shimo naturally stayed at the repair shop. Then, he stayed for 3 days without even having time to go home, eat or sleep. Zhou Yushu, who rarely goes out on a regular basis, has to check her meal every day to bring him food. On the second day, 2 servants were arranged to live in the repair shop with a set of daily necessities, specifically responsible for taking care of Liu Shimo's daily life. The maternal love came too fiercely, making Liu Shimo a bit shy to see others. As for turning a complete set of drawings into a prototype gun, it is not an easy task. During this period, Zhou Jun, an old military worker, also gave many suggestions. For example, changing the barrel diameter and magazine size. The weapon drawings provided by the system completely copy the design of 5.5, including the barrel caliber and ammunition size. But the current situation is that both domestically and internationally, the mainstream rifle bullet models are 7.92 × 57 German bullets. This is slightly larger than a Russian missile and can be thrown around. It is also because of this situation that the equipment currently used by the repair shop to manufacture gun barrels, as well as the production equipment of the adjacent Copper Bureau ammunition factory, and even other military factories in various regions, most of the equipment is specifically designed to cooperate with the production of German ammunition. Considering the current production efficiency and future logistic supply issues, he suggests making some modifications in this regard. Regarding this, Liu Shimo chose to follow the flow of kindness. There's no way, the industrial foundation is really poor. We can only produce based on the current equipment, and if we want to start over, the cost is too high. The longer he stayed in the repair shop, the more anxious and worried he felt about the current industrial foundation in China. The entire Mountain City repair shop, as the largest military factory within the Sichuan Army, has over 1,000 workers, but the total number of various machine tools and equipment is less than 100. Even less than 100 machine tools, half of them are old guys from the beginning of the century. As for the output, it made Liu Shimo's heart cool. The simplest rifle can produce up to 20 in a day, do you believe it? So, advanced weapon manufacturing technology alone is not enough. The most important thing now is to improve production capacity. Fortunately, with such production capacity, there is still no problem in manufacturing sample guns. Almost 3 days of continuous rotation passed by, and the first sample gun was finally assembled. Liu Yuanxun also kept an eye on this matter and rushed over as soon as he received the news. Accompanying them, there are also several key members of the Sichuan army. Then, Grand Prince Liu was once again exhibited, becoming what Commander Liu called a useless dog. Of course, although each byte is a useless dog, it is necessary to specifically mention that the gun we test-fired today was designed by our own dog during his leisure time. And whether they were sincere or insincere, everyone couldn't help but praise them. Just like this, the group arrived at the repair center's shooting range. I first visited the newly made gun, and only from the outside, there was an inconspicuous fixed clip added below the gun body. As for the other dimensions and shapes, there is not much difference from the Sichuan-made rifle previously produced by the repair shop. Despite this, the praises continued to flow together. Unfortunately, this kind of praise is more pleasing to Liu Yuanxun than just flattering him directly, and his smile never stops. Satisfied and boasting about his son, he finally began his official gun test. It was also at this time that Liu Yuanxun became nervous. Everything that can be boasted about is showing off. If he doesn't succeed in the gun test, he will be a disgrace today. He grabbed Zhou Jun and whispered in his ear, "How are you confident?" As an old classmate, Zhou Jun knows him very well. With a smile on his face, he glanced at him and said, "Don't worry, I'll surprise you all. Just wait for them to flatter you with peace of mind." As he spoke, the gun tester at the repair shop was already in place. A few high-ranking officials from Sichuan province, who were also very proud, raised their binoculars and looked at the distant gun target. Bang! With a crisp gunshot, the target from 100 meters away shook noticeably. A few officials were waiting for this scene. Seeing a shot hit, although I couldn't see any difference, I immediately put down my telescope and wanted to praise Mr. Liu again. Just before a few people could speak, the gunfire continued. The sound of gunfire, one after another, was almost identical to that of a handgun. Several of the officers changed their expressions and turned their heads together to look over. I saw the test gunner lying on the ground, not pulling the bolt as they had imagined, just pulling the trigger one after another. A few people stared straight at the time. "Gu Laozi, can you shoot without pulling the bolt?" At the same moment, a system prompt sound also sounded in Liu Shimo's mind. "Keep an eye on it. Congratulations to the host for successfully completing the task of manufacturing the 5.6 semi-automatic rifle. According to the system evaluation, the completion rate is 200%. Liu Shimo. New books require data, flower reviews, and monthly tickets. Thank you to all the experts. Inspiration is pouring in, and updates are not a problem. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0006. Overcompletion, special rewards. You are listening at novel.For. Suddenly, a result with a completion rate of 200% emerged. After a brief moment of shock, Liu Shimo roughly understood the reason. It should be because Zhou Jun changed the caliber and magazine to better meet the current logistic supply conditions, which led to such a result. Ding, congratulations to the host for receiving regular rewards, as well as information on Type 56 automatic rifle technology and cannon technology. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining additional rewards. Infantry company level tactics mastery. As the system prompt fell, a jumble of information suddenly emerged in Liu Shimo's mind. He felt a sudden blackness in front of him, his whole body shaking. Just at this moment, the people next to him did not notice him. The 5 or 6.5 consecutive shots not only stunned the several Sichuan provincial officials who followed Liu Yuanxun. Even Liu Yuanxun, who had a rough idea beforehand, was surprised to see it with his own eyes. Because it was just too smooth. There was only a very brief time interval between the gunshots. 10 seconds and 10 shots. On the side, Zhou Jun stared at the watch on his wrist and excitedly reported the number. This time also includes the time for the test gunner to aim again after each shot. And this means that if paired with a long clip of pre-loaded bullets on the battlefield, a skilled soldier can empty the magazine at least 4 times within a minute. Within 1 minute, complete 40 shots while aiming, and still within the range of the rifle. If we don't calculate the breadth of firepower control, the efficiency of such a gun can at least match that of 3 Sichuan-made rifles. Although when looking at the blueprint of this rifle, Zhou Jun, an old military engineer, had already made some predictions about such a result. But at this point, when I came to the actual conclusion, I couldn't help but get excited. The difference of at least twice is still the most basic column-mounted weapon for each person, which plays a huge role in improving the combat effectiveness of the troops. Of course, Liu Yuanxun and several high-ranking officials can also calculate this account clearly. For a moment, there was a gasping hiss on the shooting range. It's just that Liu Shimo didn't pay attention to these. As the reward arrives, new system tasks have also been generated. Task 1. Mass produce 5, 6, half, and 10,000 units to receive advanced rewards. Current progress 0, Task 2. Successfully manufacture the 5.6 automatic rifle and receive regular rewards. Task 3. Successfully manufacture a torpedo and receive regular rewards. Task 4. Set up a tactical training course and successfully hold 1 session with 30 graduates to receive advanced rewards. Current progress 0, it suddenly became 4 tasks, which caught Liu Shimo off guard. However, before he could even consider what to do next, when he was completing these 4 tasks, a big hand landed heavily on his shoulder. "Good kid, this gun is well.Designed." Liu Shimo turned his head and saw that Commander Liu's back teeth were exposed with a smile. At this moment, he was looking at him with a proud expression on his face. Others were also witty and immediately approached to start a new round of flattery. What is a talented and outstanding person? A wise and talented person is like a tiger without a dog. In my limited vocabulary, I searched for beautiful words to say to Commander Liu. But compared to the praise just now, it now appears more sincere. Not to mention, the young master who has been studying abroad for 10 years has really learned great skills. Just like this, he boasted for a while until Liu Yuanxun couldn't bear it anymore, and then a few people stopped. Continuing with the test firing range and accuracy, it also caused a lot of applause. And once these parameters are confirmed to be fine, then the next step is production issues. When can we start mass production? Only some molds and cutting tools need to be modified, so there should be no problem within 5 days. Zhou Jun gave the answer without even thinking about it. After all, there are not many machines in the repair shop, and the workload required to produce new rifles from the previous Sichuan-made rifle is not significant. That's good. Liu Yuanxun nodded and then asked with a smile, "Is there any problem producing 30 units a day after the preparation work is completed?" "It's possible, but the production of machine guns may have to stop for a while." "Then let's pause for a moment and hurry up with the new rifle." Liu Yuanxun made the decision, but he had his own plan in mind. 30 units are produced in a day, and 900 units are produced in a month. And the troops he will reorganize next, with a regiment of about 2,000 troops. By focusing on production for 2 months in this way, the reorganization will also see initial results, so it's a good time to equip a team first to see the results. And within 2 months, he can assemble a regiment. With 2 years of effort, he can gather 12 regiments to serve as his main force. This book mainly focuses on the Sichuan army. If you see the big shots here and think it's okay, ask for a flower, a review, and at least 10 updates on the first day. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0007. Expansion Plan, Young Marshal's Inheritance of Family Business. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Liu Shimo did not mention to Commander Liu in front of everyone the official expansion of the repair shop into a military factory. After the gun test, he returned home. The eldest son finally returned, and Zhou Yushu was the happiest. She immediately prepared a sumptuous dinner. Liu Shimo, on the other hand, locked himself in his room and began to carefully study the 4 newly generated tasks in the system. The first task is to mass-produce 10,000 C1 rifles. This is the name given to the new rifle by Commander Liu at the repair shop. Abbreviated as Chuani, the full name is Chuancher Type 1 rifle. Originally intended to be named after the Liu family, Liu Shimo felt guilty and finally persuaded him to abandon the idea. But it doesn't really matter what it's called, as long as it's easy to use. It will take a full year to build 10,000 Chuani rifles with the current production capacity of the repair shop. This is something that Liu Shimo cannot tolerate. Not to mention that the repair shop also needs to produce other weapons. Just equipping 300,000 troops from Sichuan will have to wait until the monkey year and horse month come. So expanding production is imperative. The second and third tasks are not difficult. All the information about the 2 weapons is in his mind at this moment, and when he comes back, he just needs to draw a map. As for production, it can be handed over to Zhou Jun. This time, Liu Shimo has witnessed the opponent's ability in the trial production of the Chuani rifle. Having extraordinary knowledge, being able to combine with reality, and possibly achieving a completion rate of 200%. The fourth task involves military education. This may be difficult for others, but for Liu Shimo, it is as easy as a palm. At least he is also the eldest son of Commander Liu. He went to the Army Officer Academy of the Sichuan Army to take on a job, but it was just Commander Liu's order. The only difficulty, probably, is whether the selected 30 company-level officers can achieve systematic academic achievement in the shortest possible time. In the task description, the reward for completing is advanced. Liu Shimo speculated that it was highly likely a battalion-level tactic. By the same token, regimental and brigade level can easily take over Commander Liu's class without any obstacles. Thinking about it, Liu Shimo couldn't help but have some longing. May I ask which man doesn't want to command 1,000 armies and horses, galloping on the battlefield to kill enemies and serve the country? After analyzing it in this way, I return to the original problem. At present, what he urgently needs to solve is to increase the production capacity of the repair shop. This kind of thing cannot be helped by the system, making plans alone is also useless. 1,000 words, ultimately all fall on one word of money. The family had a carefully prepared dinner by Zhou Yushu, and while drinking tea after the meal, he mentioned this to Commander Liu. Although Commander Liu is now wealthy throughout the entire Sichuan province, his expenses are also high. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just ended the last war and rushed to reduce his troops. So at this moment, when Liu Shimo heard that he was planning to expand the repair shop into a truly famous military factory, his eyebrows immediately furrowed. Shimo, is the current production capacity not enough? 2 months of production can equip a regiment, and Commander Liu himself is quite satisfied. Dad, how many troops will there be after your troops are reorganized? The plan is 120 regiments, but there may be more. Add up to around 250,000 yuan. Speaking of this, Commander Liu smiled with a reserved smile. The family business has already been established, and now the big one is also in high spirits. Going back and cultivating it well, he can rest assured that he will be entrusted with this family business in the future. 250,000 people, which means that all personnel are equipped with Sichuan 1 rifle, which requires 250,000 units. Liu Shimo deliberately lifted his finger. Based on the current production capacity of the repair shop, even if all the manpower and material resources are concentrated to build Chuani, the maximum daily production capacity is only 100 units. Dad, it will take us nearly 9 years to have all the 250,000 troops change gear. I was originally just trying to persuade Liu Yuanxun, but at that point, Liu Shimo felt a chill in his heart. Even if we concentrate all our efforts on production, this time is too exhausting. Guawazi, how could all the troops have to be equipped with new guns? Commander Liu is an old warlord, and he is not on the same channel as Liu Shimo. At this moment, with a smile, he began to impart years of experience to Liu Shimo. The army should be divided into legitimate and non-legitimate lineages. You control the legitimate lineage yourself, and then use the legitimate lineage to balance the non-legitimate lineage. This interlocking approach ensures your control over the troops. What checks and balances are used? Commander Liu asked himself and replied, we can only rely on the difference in combat effectiveness between legitimate and non-legitimate factions. So, our new gun just needs to be equipped with the legitimate troops. As long as the legitimate troops can fight, everyone must listen to you. The data is so cool. Looking for a flower, looking for a review, thank you to all the readers. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0008. Budget released, Commander Liu blows up. You are listening at novel.For. Liu Yuanxun's 20 years of struggle experience, this set of theories he has summarized, has completed logical consistency. Relying on his theory, Liu Shimo will surely have no problem as a stable successor. But the key issue is that Liu Shimo never thought about taking over as a big warlord with a down-to-earth attitude. The primary task is to resist aggression. But now the international situation is also turbulent. According to the information he has learned, Germany's little beard has completed domestic integration and become the head of military and political power. So, this trajectory will not change either. At this time of world turmoil, China has great potential. With these thoughts in mind, Liu Shimo sorted out his wording before saying, "Dad, what you said makes sense. But this is just within Sichuan province. As far as I know, Chiang Kai-shek has been coveting Sichuan province. What if he calls back then? This." Liu Yuanxun's smile paused and his eyebrows furrowed. He has considered this matter, it's nothing more than soldiers coming to block it. Relying on the complex terrain of Sichuan province, as long as Chiang Kai-shek is hit hard, he will naturally dispel this idea. But this is just the most optimistic scenario. Nowadays, Chiang Kai-shek is in great power, and many local forces under his command have gradually disappeared over the years. Speaking of which, not to mention being stronger than my current self, there are also a few that are almost the same. Moreover, nowadays Chiang Kai-shek occupies half of China's territory, with a large number of soldiers and a strong sense of righteousness. If we were to confront him, relying solely on the unique terrain of Sichuan province, the outcome would be unpredictable. Not to mention, Long Dengyun from Yunnan province is also an ambitious generation. If you stab yourself in the back, it will be a big trouble. Thinking so, Liu Yuanxun suddenly felt a sense of urgency. The principle of non-legitimate lineage cannot be changed, but it is still necessary to quickly enhance the combat effectiveness of one's own legitimate troops to cope with changes in the situation. With this in mind, he smiled again and patted Liu Shimo's shoulder heavily. He laughed heartily and said, "You are truly the Qilin of my Liu family. Your knowledge is amazing." I was praised again. Sitting aside, Zhou Yushu, who was personally sewing a nightgown for Liu Shimo, immediately smiled and squinted her eyes. "Dad, do you agree with me to expand the repair shop into a military factory?" "Agree." Commander Liu spoke arrogantly and said, "You can discuss with Uncle Zhou later and come up with a charter. I will allocate funds for you." Commander Liu's work was completed, and Liu Shimo immediately got busy the next day. After spending 2 days with Zhou Jun, we finally completed the first phase of the budget. This is also impossible. It's not realistic to become a big fat person at once, and we can only expand the scale step by step. And this not only involves the issue of machinery and equipment. We also need to consider training technicians, increasing raw material production, and so on. Returning home again, it's dinner time again. Liu Shimo didn't care too much and directly presented the initial budget draft to Commander Liu for review at the dinner table. If Commander Liu agrees, then this is the final draft. As soon as the payment is received, we need to start moving immediately. Commander Liu also believed in his own abilities. He didn't even read the previous content and went straight to the last page. Looking at the number of 12.52 million, Commander Liu, who was originally smiling, stared and took a cold breath. Over 12 million. Yes, as long as the first phase is completed, just the production of Sichuan style can be expanded to 300 pieces per day. Liu Shimo is ambitious. In 3 to 6 years, he is preparing to start 3 phases of horse racing. According to his and Zhou Jun's estimates, after the end of the 3rd phase, the number of employees in the arsenal will approach 8,000. As long as there is no shortage of raw materials, the production of Chuan Tongzi will definitely stabilize at 600 pieces per day. In addition, automatic rifles also have squad machine guns, as well as other weapons such as heavy machine guns, mortars, and infantry guns, which can maintain good production capacity. Calculated, the total investment is approximately 50 million yuan. At that time, it would be no problem to equip a force of 100,000 people before the deployment of troops. As for the troops that will continue to leave Sichuan one after another, they can also meet the supply. Of course, this is just an investment from the arsenal. In addition, with the skyrocketing demand for raw materials, it would take approximately 1 5 billion yuan to produce various weapons that meet the equipment needs of 300,000 troops. He also knows that this is not a small number, and with the current financial situation of Sichuan province, it cannot be sustained. However, Liu Shimo already has some ideas for solving this problem. So now, all Commander Liu needs to do is allocate this first payment and he can start manipulating it. Unfortunately, at this moment, although he offered the temptation of Nissan 300 units of Sichuan style, Commander Liu did not accept it at all. Shaking his head like a tambourine, he said, "No, no money. Seeking a fresh flower, seeking an evaluation Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period." April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0009. The Richest Man in Sichuan Province, 7th Uncle. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Liu Yuanxun is fully supportive of what a great person wants to do in their career. According to his previous calculations, gritting his teeth and investing 5 million in the repair shop is already enough. As for the requirements, they are not high either. Previously, the repair shop gritted their teeth and was able to produce 100 units per day. After investing, they could produce 200 units per day. 6,000 guns per month, equipped with 3 regiments, can complete the transformation of his legitimate troops in 6 months. At that time, the soaring combat effectiveness of the troops will be enough for him to handle the next situation. But now it has suddenly become over 12 million yuan. Regardless of how much more money is left behind, he can't take it out. You, Shimo, have a drive for self-improvement. This is such a rare thing. The first time I asked you to do something, you were surprised and unwilling at first sight. Is there anyone who can be such a father? Looking at Commander Liu's explosive appearance, Mrs. Zhou was not happy at the time. Putting down the bowl in his hand, he clapped the board and said, "Shimo, don't listen to your father. This matter is up to my mother. Let him allocate funds for you." "My wife." Commander Liu, who was 2 heads tall, said urgently, "This is not a family matter, it involves all aspects. It's not that I don't support Shimo to do things well, but this money is really not available to the government." Looking at his mother's eyes wide open and wanting to say more, Liu Shimo quickly advised, "Auntie, Dad must be in trouble. I'll talk to Dad about this later. Let's eat first." The eldest son turned to himself and Commander Liu immediately cast a grateful gaze and greeted, "Let's discuss later. Let's eat first." After dinner, under the watchful gaze of Zhou Yushu, Liu Yuanxun took Liu Shimo to his study. "Can't it be less? Dad, this has already been streamlined. No matter how little it is, the production scale will have to be reduced, and there is no way to minimize manufacturing costs." Liu Shimo gave his reasons. Liu Yuanxun didn't ask in detail, just worried and said, "I should fully support you, but the public office really can't come up with so much money at the moment. How about partial disbursement? I promise to make it up to you within a year." 1.5 billion. A long string of numbers drifted through Liu Shimo's mind, afraid of scaring Commander Liu, but ultimately he didn't dare to say them. Frowning for a moment, he said, "Dad, can I get a loan? The investment of 12 million yuan is mostly used to purchase assets, which can be used as collateral." Liu Yuanxun. He hesitated for a moment, but decided to tell the truth to the big brother. "Shimo, Sichuan Provincial Bank belongs to our family. As for the money I was supposed to allocate to you, it was originally squeezed out of the bank. Now it's Liu Shimo's turn to be speechless. The bank owns it, and Sichuan Province also counts it as its own. My name is King of Sichuan Province, but in reality, I have nothing to do with this business." With a slanderous remark, Liu Shimo had no choice but to worry along with Liu Yuanxun. After a moment, Liu Shimo gritted his teeth and said, "Dad, who is the richest man in Sichuan Province? It's really not possible. We'll invite him to invest in the arms factory. Although it is necessary to share some of his profits in this way, the top priority is to increase the production capacity of the arms factory. Loans and investments were originally planned by Liu Shimo to cover the funding for the second and third phases. At that time, the first phase had already been put into production, and the scale of the arms factory had also expanded. According to his idea, as long as he ensures profits and safety, there will definitely be someone who is willing to join in. But now the first step has encountered obstacles, and he can only implement it ahead of schedule. Just don't think about it in other provinces. Sichuan province is the territory of the Liu family, and investment is a waste. The key is that the current repair shop is old and dilapidated, and it is not qualified to promise future benefits to people. So, we can only pursue the idea of being the richest man in Sichuan province. Don't underestimate the millionaires of this era. The reputation for doing industry is high, but the background is actually not very impressive. The ones with real heritage are all big landlords with vast fields of fertile land in their homes. Ancestral fixed assets, pure rental model, with a focus on huge cash flow. This kind of person is most suitable as an investor. Especially in Sichuan province, being able to become the richest person is undoubtedly due to various intertwined relationships. Even if Commander Liu wants to engage in prostitution for free, he may have to think twice before acting. Sure enough, upon hearing Liu Shimo's words, Liu Yuanxun's eyes lit up. Just before Liu Shimo could be pleased, his eyes quickly dimmed again. Frowning, he said, "If we were to say the wealthiest, it could only be your seventh uncle. However, due to your ninth uncle's matter, our relationship is a bit strained now, and he may not be able to help." Liu Shimo is the richest person also from the Liu family. 5 flowers have risen, thank you big shot. The 9th one is more accurate, and the first 10 is more unbeatable, so I am asking for a fresh flower evaluation Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 0010. Requesting Uncle Chi to step forward. Failed. You are listening at novel.For. Liu Shimo really doesn't understand the matter between Uncle Chi and Uncle Jiu. Seeing his bewildered expression, Liu Yuanxun had no choice but to explain. Uncle Jiu was the last opponent he defeated, Liu Zhiqian. Speaking of which, that is his own cousin. Although he is older, he is 3 years younger than him. Initially, due to kinship, the relationship was extremely close and supportive of each other. However, one mountain cannot tolerate 2 tigers, and in the end, it is still to compete for the title of king of Sichuan province, facing each other in battle. Now that Liu Zhiqian has been defeated in battle, he has taken his remaining troops to a poor place in Xikang to survive, probably hating his eldest nephew. Your 9th uncle's development over the years is inseparable from your 7th uncle's support. Speaking of the past, Liu Yuanxun also had a sigh on his face. Now your 9th uncle has been defeated, and your 7th uncle has also returned to Anren to guard his ancestral home. However, his industry is in the fields of several nearby counties, and over the years, he has relied on your 9th uncle to plunder a lot in various places. I think he can take out millions of dollars. But now that we're begging him, I'm afraid we won't give him a good face. Liu Yuanxun is not optimistic about finding Uncle Jiu. Although he is a real relative, Liu Zhiqian is still his own brother and always tends to be biased. However, Liu Shimo doesn't think so. After all, he is still a relative and currently in Anren town, so he definitely won't worry about his family being unfavorable to him. And if he wants to further develop in the future, he can only rely on his own family. So, it shouldn't be a problem to proactively offer an olive branch and give him a good explanation of the future revenue of the arsenal. Dad, it's already a thing of the past, we have to look forward. Besides, I'm a junior again. Go visit him, he can't help but see me, can he? Seeing Liu Shimo full of confidence, Liu Yuanxun could only nod in agreement and let him try it himself. I just didn't forget to remind him, respecting him is something that elders can do, but we can't just bow down and lose our family for this matter. Understood, Dad, you can rest assured. After settling this matter, the next day, Liu Yuanxun allocated 1 million yuan from the funds squeezed out of his bank. Liu Shimo's eyes darkened and it came to purchasing equipment. But Zhou Jun is an old military worker and has his own channels. The two of them divided their work and cooperated. He was responsible for contacting friends in Shanghai to buy equipment, while Liu Shimo rushed to Anren town to attract investment. Liu Yuanxun arranged vehicles. Another elite platoon was drawn from their own guard regiment, and they left the mountain city at noon that day. Anren town is located within the jurisdiction of Pingdu and is connected by highways. In addition, with vehicles and a distance of only 400 kilometers, Liu Shimo rushed slowly and finally returned to his hometown Anren town the next evening. A small town that looks very peaceful. Liu Zhiqian and Liu Yuanxun emerged one after another, these two leaders of the Sichuan warlords, and the people of Anren town also benefited a lot from them. The entire town has built many large estates. Along the way to the estate of Liu Xingting, the seventh uncle, Liu Shimo, with a tired expression, gathered his energy and politely reported his name to the steward who came out. Although the two families had some grudges, Liu Yuanxun's identity as the eldest son was not something that a small steward could embarrass. The other party spoke with a smiling face and ran in to report the message. Liu Shimo originally thought he would be able to enter soon, but he didn't know he was waiting left and right. It was already dark and no one came to welcome him in. He was relatively stable, but Zhang Shunda, the captain of the security company who accompanied him, had a pitch-black face. Approaching him, he whispered, "Young master, why don't you go and reason with them first?" As he spoke, he also rubbed the browning around his waist. "Don't worry, wait a little longer. Liu Shimo is still patient in seeking help from others." Perhaps Uncle Chi became angry when he heard Commander Liu's name, so he must give him some time to calm his mind. He was thinking about it when he saw the steward walking out with a puzzled expression on his face. When he arrived, he first smiled and then said, "Young master, I'm not feeling well today and I don't want to see any guests. How about you go back first? Go lousy." Zhang Shunda's eyes widened and he raised his hand, ready to draw his gun. Liu Shimo was quick-witted and quickly raised his hand to stop him. At this point, he was actually a bit angry. "The matter of begging for someone has not been mentioned yet, so I have a cold face. Uncle Chi is a bit excessive." He took a deep breath, calmed his mind, and then said, "Okay, please tell Uncle Seven that Shimo will visit again tomorrow." After speaking, he got into the car with his people and returned to the ancestral home of Liu Yuanxun and his family in the town. A fresh flower has been received, this is the 10th watch, and there are 2 more watches to calculate the price. Seeing the big shots here, I earnestly request the support of the fresh flower evaluation Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.